The final chapter, yay, in this class is chapter 65, which I included just because I don't know that it's something that I ever actually was formally taught, and you never know what you're going to get involved in doing, so I think it's just useful to know a little bit about prescription writing and drug prescribing. So we've all gotten prescriptions at one time or another in our lives, and the form here is kind of the standardized form for a prescription. And the list there on the right indicates all the stuff that is that goes into a standardized prescription, written prescription. Um, Obviously, you need to know the name and the license of the prescribing practitioner, then the patient and their information, date of birth, address, etc. And then you'll have the medication, the dose, quantity dispensed, directions, indications about refill, and typically the prescriber's DEA or NPI, National Practitioner Identification Number. Um, so uh, the issue with drugs is there are those that the FDA has considered to be safe enough so that the average adult could take them over the counter and follow the directions given on a package. Prescription drugs are those that are only written by pharmacists, dentists, podiatrists, veterinarians, and in many states, APRNs or physician assistants, as well as optometrists. And the prescribing physician chooses the drug. The pharmacists are the dispensary for the drug. They simply carry out the wishes of the prescribing physician. Important in the hospital to note that a nurse, by license, is only licensed to administer medications based on a prescription, or excuse me, based on an order from a prescriber. So nurses are not supposed to be making decisions about type of drug or drug dose. That's why, in general, hospitals have been forbidden to write orders like Livedilol 5 to 10 milligrams, PRN, BP greater than 180 over 100, because in principle that kind of a range order is giving the nurse is requiring that the nurse make a decision about what dose to use and in what setting, and that's not really within their scope of practice. So the DEA uses a schedule of drugs to indicate to define certain drugs that are considered to have addictive potential. And so these are Schedule 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The Schedule 5 drugs are those with the least likelihood to cause any physical or psychological dependence. And these are things like Tylenol with codeine, Robitussin, etc. Schedule 4 are a little more likely to lead to abuse. These include phenobarbital, Valium, etc. Schedule, as we go up in the schedules, and there's an error here, it should be a Roman numeral 3 next to the fourth row. There's increasing concern for abuse. Schedule 1 drugs are the ones with the highest abuse potential, and basically these are illicit drugs that are considered to have no real accepted or really very limited indication for use. And most of the higher strength narcotics, morphine, methadone, hydromorphone, etc., are going to be in the category 2, high addiction potential, high dependence potential, but they are, approved for use. The prescribing of DEA scheduled drugs is something that requires a federal DEA license. Now, when the FDA approves a drug, they do so only for one specific indication, something that they've done research on. However, once a drug goes to market, it can be utilized for anything that the prescribing physician sees fit. So there's nothing illegal about the so-called off-label use of a drug, and off-label meaning for an indication other than the one that the drug was originally approved for. So this is not an illegal practice. In fact, it's something that occurs quite often because manufacturers rarely are going to invest the money in studying all the potential uses of a drug. These things come into clinical practice based on experience and research done outside of the drug company. And again, something that happens quite commonly.